Welcome, faraway friends. It's been a hot minute since I've had one of these entries in this GM's journey. I wanted to say a few words about the GenCon experience for sure, and I it took me a while to make this video. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to say about it. I guess in some sense I'm still kind of processing it, but it was a vast experience. It was quite out of my typical wheelhouse. So yeah, I want to share some of that with you. And even though this is like months old now, I think maybe 2 months or something, there was a comment that Brett from Constructed Chaos makes. He plays Odd, their bard. He's a bard in real life. Great guy. Loved playing with him and all of the crew at the table, but super quick-witted. And he had an interesting observation about this series, which is basically that it was a series of conversations with myself, which I hope isn't overly indulgent. I hope it's of use to other people. He meant it in a really sweet way, as he does most things. But that also got me thinking about, like what I'm doing with this and why I'm doing it and all of that stuff. I'm sure there's, a good bit of kind of processing going on for me, as well as, the explicit goal, which is to help spread the good word, so to speak, spread little nuggets for people. I'm going to pick up the other series that I'm working on, So You Want to Portray. Only got 2 deep into that, and then, and then Gen Con. So I'm definitely going to continue on that. Those take a lot more like specific analysis than these, where I'm just kind of riffing. So, but I haven't forgotten about that. All right, so the first thing that I already alluded to, was just the sheer scope of Gen Con, was jaw-dropping. I knew it was going to be big. I even knew it was going to be huge. To actually feel that energy, though, and last year it was 70,000, this year it was 75,000. And that was only because they ran out of physical space and tickets. So literally, out of 75,000 tickets, every single ticket was sold. It was this sprawling affair. I don't want to misquote like the number of city blocks, but it's in Indianapolis for y'all who don't know or haven't gone before. And they're interconnected with like sky bridges, and they have these, this pretty awesome, elaborate tunnel situation going. Or really, it's not even a tunnel. It's like an additional main hallway that just happens to be underground to the Lucas something stadium. I'll put that in the comments to this. Pin that in the comments. But it was they took over an entire stadium, and that was not even the original con. They had just multiple sites. So yours truly was not. Did not really roam the con, however, because for me this was a cross between a pilgrimage, an academic conference, and a kumite. I say that because I booked myself for an insane schedule. I knew it was insane going in. Justin had some concerns for my well-being, which I certainly appreciate. But I felt like I had to, and this is not a phrase that comes out of my lips very often at all in my career. I felt like I had something to prove, somewhat to my co-founders and maybe Troupe mates, but more to myself, that at my very weakest, which is in one-shots, with strangers and with no prior context, in a highly custom campaign setting, Terra, that I could still deliver. That I still had the storytelling chops to draw people in on pure bravado, on pure whatever you want to call it, moxie. And I did. All 3 tables. That first one was rough. I did not sleep the night before for reasons. Slept on the plane for about 2.5 hours, maybe, got there and basically immediately ran a 6-hour long involved mystery, by the way, adventure, which was, and for 5.5 hours out of those 6 hours we didn't have combat, if that tells you anything about how involved it was. Fantastic table. Jim and Jessamine were there. They were two of the players, and we've remained in contact. Everyone was great. Like it was good enough, y'all, that we all kind of decided that if I was that they wanted to see what happened next year, because it didn't necessarily end on a cliffhanger, but it was unclear how things proceeded from there, even though the central mystery was more or less solved. No, to paraphrase an old military saying, no raw scenario comes into contact, survives contact with the players, unscathed. So they had some interesting choices, and Jim in particular was like ferociously tactical, is very old school and really knew what he was doing. And then the other two, like I again, feels weird to toot my own horn, but like the feedback I got was overwhelmingly positive. And these were from strangers. These were from people who had no reason to butter me up, and it felt really good. It felt really good. In the same breath, I want to shout out Donnie. So Donnie, if you see this, Donnie really stepped up, and for the first time in his gaming career, which is still relatively short, he ran a one-shot. His infamous or famous, depending on how you look at it, Whistling Willie's Wonderful Mind Adventure. It has a longer full official title than that, but with his marquee character Whistling Willie. And I happened to be at the table, and 75,000 people, I happened to be at the table next to him while this was going on. That would be the second table that I was running, which was basically a mix of a heavy role play and combat. Again, great table. And he killed it. I mean, they were laughing, they were stomping their feet, they were having a grand old time, they were touched at the end. It was exactly what he was hoping for, and to have never jammed before, and then to step up like that in literally the largest platform that exists in North America to be running a game in, as far as I know, is spectacular. I've always said he's just incredibly talented, and that just kind of goes to my point. So well done, Donnie. Thank you for overcoming that. I know that was a lot to ask on your, maiden voyage, so to speak. Yeah. So, man, the four of us, it was myself, Justin, Corey, and Donnie. And it was really, really good to get out of the studio, the three founders, for us, for Darkeport, to get out of the studio, and have to be interdependent on each other for 4 days, because I knew if I was off worrying about logistics, or if I was trying to figure out, where we were going to eat, or if I was, whatever, like, dealing with the intricacies of where we had to turn in event tickets, I was not going to be at my best. It was a lot. It was a lot. My jamming style, excuse me, my jamming style is exactly contra to one shot with strangers. It's all about depth. It's all about a slow burn with sudden kind of climaxes in there maybe. But it's all about layers, and I'm always stronger on my second year in a campaign, vice the first, always, which makes me really excited because we're actually coming up on our year anniversary of streaming, believe it or not. Our next one, when we come off hiatus, September 3rd, will be essentially a year. And Corey was outstanding. I mean, I felt like honestly protected and like guided and even nurtured. It was great. It reminded me of our earliest days together, he and I, and just kind of reinvigorated me as to why these are the people that I had gone into the foxhole with, and really reaffirmed that for me, because you don't know, like, I love these people. I've known Corey for 16 years. I've known Justin for over 3 decades now, but this is a new thing, and this was a big step up. This was not chilling in the studio. This was getting out there, man. And you want to talk about imposter syndrome and feeling exposed and all of that. All of the tables, by the way, that first table, whew, there was a really, like, the deepest scene, and man, Justman, if you ever watch this, like, thank you. I thanked you at the time, but, like, thank you for all of, you know, our faraway friends to hear and see. She held space from the entire table did, you know, but especially she held space for me with such, like, grace and ease and understanding that it was wonderful. Because I have to have some vulnerability in there. I could storytell, I could game master without it. I don't know if I could storytell without it, and I certainly wouldn't want to. So yeah, and then, you know, Justin was like his hard-ass quartermaster self, and I mean that in the best sort of way. I mean, he made sure that, you know, like, there was one I believe it was the last lecture that I ran, because, you know, 3 one-shot games under those conditions isn't enough. I then need to do 4 seminars on top of that. And he made sure that Donnie, like, ran through, you know, the particulars on it, and Donnie again stepped up, went out of his, you know, comfort zone, and he actually videoed, shot and recorded the last one, and, you know, Justin was just on top of, like, of course, every technical thing, but also was really there, like, emotionally and just presence-wise, and was, you know, one of my emotional support humans, like, it, and I know that I was a little bit basket casey. I wasn't awful, didn't, like, melt down or anything, but you know, I was tunnel vision, y'all. It was really focused on being the very best storyteller and creator that I could be in that moment. So thank you, Justin, for that, and for all the many things that you have brought into my life. Oh, it was wonderful to see Alex and Morgan there, the bros. Alex, he's the GM for Constructed Chaos, and is a lovely human being. I told him in one of the comments, you know, he just radiates, like, this gentle strength everywhere he goes, and, you know, Morgan's brilliant and funny, and just, like, they're a perfect complement for each other. It's really good, even if things get hot sometimes, but, you know, those youngins, they're still figuring that out. I mean, they're not, but in their early 30s, so it's young to me. But just, you know, real partners, really going out there, checking it out, seeing it, taking the exact opposite tack that I did, that we did, and you know, probably wiser. Like I said, felt like I had something to prove. But no, we had a wonderful dinner, all of us together. That was great to experience and to have. Justin got to really spend some great time with them, with Morgan and Alex, and I love that. That just, it cements it. It kind of reminded me all of, like, why we're doing this thing in the first place. Like, I mean, there are many reasons to game, obviously, but the friendships that you come out from having a shared activity, a shared passion. For me, it's an art form. For Alex, it's an art form. He may not have thought of it overtly that way, but it's, you know, that's my observation of how he approaches it, certainly. And you just, you know, I essentially met Justin that way. It worked out pretty well. I explicitly met Corey that way at a vampire LARP. And it's amazing what doors that can open, and how people can connect. I know that I made several other, like, friends there. Talking with Jim and Jessman, like, we kept running into each other the next day. It was like talking with old friends, and I had just met them, you know, technically that was on Friday, so the day before. You know, another heartfelt conversation, and it's great. It's great. I love it. And next year, I know Brett's gonna come with them. I don't. Hopefully, the whole crew. Hopefully, Caleb and Sam can get there as well. really looking forward to next year. Learned a whole lot. I don't want to talk at you for too long, but I have some ideas about how to improve what I did, how to stitch together different fabrics. Like I said, I'm always better second year than first year. And right, last thing I'll say is, or at least note it here to myself, is trying to balance being at work and also networking was rough. I was not necessarily the best networker. It wasn't terrible, but definitely not, didn't cover myself in glory that way. There were some different people there who some of y'all probably know, who I was sitting down at different times. I'm not trying to be coy. I just, don't want to go into all the detail. And I was like, I should go up and I should talk to the, the writer of, the creator of, the tip of the spear anyway of, making Daggerheart, Darrington Press's game, essentially Critical Role's baby. I'm like, I need to keep working on this. I need to feel okay, and that was on Thursday, so I was wiped already even before that game started. Just stuff like that happened a couple times over the span of the 4 days, and I'm okay with that. It was interesting to watch myself go through that. So in the Discord, we picked up Eclectic Druid, so welcome. We picked up Lizard 307, welcome. And I'm not sure if Ruby Rod was part of, yes, that Ruby Rod, if they were part of the GenCon experience or not. I may talk about the arena scenario that Eclectic Druid played in, and it's funny because that one was like, by my lights, it was 95% combat arena and like 5% roleplay. And the feedback that I got, one player told me that I had a Tolkien-esque level of mastery over the background, which obviously I was like, oh wow. I don't agree with that, but what a compliment to give a creator. And then Eclectic Druid had said, like, you need to turn this into, you need to get this down. You need to, like, get this into a book, make this a scenario, make this a campaign setting. And he wasn't the only one who said that, but, like, having that from Perfect Stranger, someone who's in what I considered the least emotionally involved, but actually, wound up getting kind of involved. Give me that feedback was pretty motivating. Honestly, it was pretty powerful. Lizard 307, I don't know. Could you remind me which event you were at, which of the games or seminars you were at? Because I'm not actually sure, and if you told me already, I'm sorry. Don't recall. Okay, I think that will do it for me for now. We got our first Angel does YouTube live experience tomorrow. That should be fun. Looking forward to that. I'm going to mess around with that tonight and figure that out. Other than that, as you go about your journey out there, stay safe and stay curious. Thank you so much, y'all. Bye.